People, listen, I'm going to tell you the story about how I've learned the hardest lesson over and over and over throughout my life. But first, we're going to get something else that's quite important.
Hey, can I just have a glazed? Just one glazed.
People, listen up. It's going to be a long format video of me talking at you, and you're going to enjoy it, okay? As you know, Broken Focus did a live in studio video performance. I learned an extraordinarily hard lesson from this whole process, and I wanted to kind of dive into it a bit. I've always wanted to do a live studio video my whole life. When I was in college, I saw Kimbra do some performances of her first album at Sing Sing Studios, and it blew my mind. I was like, I want to do something like this. There's something about live studio videos that makes me so excited and so happy. And more recently, Periphery, probably my favorite band, did a live studio performance of 3 songs sponsored by Minel Symbols. My friend Jose, who's a recording engineer, mix engineer, things like that, hit me up and was like, hey, I want to record a heavier band. Would y'all want to come in and record a song so I can have it for my portfolio? Like I said, we just recorded, so we didn't need to record anything. But I had an idea. I was like, what if we did a live studio situation? Now, live and studio performances for me have always been the holy grail for some reason. I just love that it proves that these bands can do what they do live. And I get to rewatch it all the time, which is really fucking cool. It's very vulnerable. It's very intimate. Now, time frame. This is one day before our first show. So we're practicing a ton. The demo could not be any more polished than what it is. We've been playing these songs for like a year and a half. We're so locked in to these songs. It felt like the right time to crystallize the moment. Now, the thing that's hard about music is the more you play the thing, the more you find and the better it gets. So there's never really a right time to do it. You just kind of have to pick the best time. And it felt in my gut and in my little heart that this was the moment to crystallize. But it still feels like this performance means a lot to all of us because it's really verbatim from what is on the demo record, which is cool. This time of playing in the studio is the first time, other than the Break Me Down video, that we've played outside of our rehearsal space. So the energy's there, the vibes are there, we're nervous, we're happy, we're excited. It's very cool. But it's also very scary, and there's a lot of logistical things that have to be figured out throughout this process. So I brought this up to Jose. He was down. It took a little convincing because it's 5 songs, it's 10 minutes of music. That's a lot of stuff to do. But I told him, I was like, we're rehearsed on this. You're not going to have to punch in. You're not going to have to do any editing. It's going to be start to finish. And then you'll mix that. And that's what this will be. And we got on the same page. Now, it's important to say, we didn't have any money. And there's not a big problem with not having money. I think that a lot of people, when they have an ambitious idea and they want to do it for no money, they get a little freaked out, which makes sense. But in my experience of collaborating with people in many different facets, it's not about not having money. It's about not communicating the scope of work and finding people that are going to benefit from the scope of work and are truly excited. Jose, for instance, needed something from us. We needed something from Jose. It was a good partnership. So when doing this free work, it's important to make sure you're aligned. When you're a professional and you're already working in that space and you do something as a favor to your friends, you're actually doing them a disservice by not charging them, because you're not going to do the best version of the work because you're not getting paid for it. This is what you do already. But if you're in an expansive place and looking to add new things, then doing work for free is kind of how you have to do it. So keeping that in mind, that was my new goal with producing this shoot, is I need to empower people that want to grow in some kind of way and do something new. Needless to say, logistics are the first thing that comes to my mind. We have Jose. He's got a studio, and we started talking about gear, needs, things like that. Gear-wise, I bring in my lunchbox, which is like a small format studio box, I guess. So I have 1176 in it, a 1073, and then a 530, I think, the DBX EQ. And I love that setup. It's what I use to record my voice all the time. And I brought in my SM7B. So I have my vocal chain that I brought, and then he brought some gear from home, and then we used the studio gear to make all this work. Getting all the gear from our practice space to the studio was a lot more challenging than what you think, because we didn't have a drum set. So we had to borrow a drum set, that pork pie kit. So we got that. We had to borrow cymbal stands. We had cymbals, we had snares, we had breakables. We had to get all that stuff. Then getting it over means we had to take one car there to do that. We also had to get all of our amps. And that Ampeg, 8x10 is massive. I think it's an 8x10, but it's like a fridge. So it's like, that's one car ride there. The next big piece here is cameras. And I have a ton of camera gear, and I found my friend James, and he seemed really interested. And James brought his cameras. So all in all, we ran 4 cameras this day. 2 A7s and 2 A6400s. To run 4 cameras that aren't really meant to record for this long to an SD card was scary. Super, super scary. These cameras are meant for quick video. They're meant for just taking photos. So they overheat really quick. Also, it has to be powered through a battery. That's a little bit sketchy to me. Also, it records to one piece of flash media. That's sketchy. Also, pulling that flash media off is really difficult. On like pro film sets, there's a DIT. That person's job is just to pull footage off of cards and back it up. Invaluable. It's like, we don't have a DIT. We had to figure out how to physically see the small little screens because we didn't have a video village, which is pretty annoying as well. So cameras, I would say, were pretty challenging, to be honest. Running 4 cameras is too much for one person. You kind of need like 2 or 3 people to do that, to make sure everything's working. So it's kind of this thing where it's like, you can't monitor that focus is okay. You can't monitor that we're still actually recording on all the cameras. It's just a fickle kind of house of cards situation. Lighting wise, I brought all my lights. I have these small rig lights and all my stands. So I brought C stands. I brought all these lights. And everyone needs food. Everyone needs drinks. I feel as if I am failing to explain to you how kind of frantic and hectic a film set can be. We had 12 people there. Van, Jose, James, me, partners. It's a lot. So it's like 12 people just with their stuff. Trying to figure out a place to put their stuff is a lot. Then we have all of our gear. We have all the camera gear, which also means bringing extension cords. It means bringing every little connector, bit and boop that I have, bringing that stuff. Setting up a place to do file transfers. Bringing all the lighting shit. Bringing every... It's a lot of stuff. And then the studio also has a huge piano that we had to move. It's just kind of hard. It's like camping, but in the worst way. And this is where the whole free shoot thing really starts to bite you. Is that rarely on a free shoot, you have support positions happening. You'll have someone run cameras. You'll have an audio engineer. You'll have the main roles. But it's incredibly difficult to get PA type people. Like, just people to just help move the day forward. You know what I mean? those are the jobs that really push the day forward. And my critical flaw was I didn't outsource and ask for help in a real way. Everything came back to me, which makes sense. To make a decision on where to put the camera. Where are we going to move this piano? Where should the drums go? Oh, we can't put the drums there because this outlet's here and we need it for. So I'm saying it's like every little micro question came back to me, which is fine. I made this grave for myself. But it is increasingly difficult to do when you have to perform. So I never moved my little hat from being like director producer to singer. And that is the critical flaw. And by the time that we got to actually performing, I was physically and emotionally exhausted. Absolutely exhausted. We did 2 takes. And luckily we only needed 2 takes because there would be no way that I would be able to do a 3rd take and it'd be good, which is unlike me. I can go all day long. And I'm stoked, absolutely stoked with what's on that album. But I see little opportunities that I missed, and that makes me excited for the next time we do this. And I learned this lesson in the Break Me Down video, where I went to that video and I said, I'm going to be the singer of this band. I'm going to do nothing else. Except when I rapped. I helped fucking, rap things out and I helped bring things in, those kinds of things. But I didn't make big decisions on the setups. I didn't look at the video monitor. I just trusted. And that allowed me to be a performer. And I feel that I could not have done any better at that moment in time than what I did on that video. Whereas I look at the live studio one, while I'm stoked and I love everything that happens, I see little bitty pieces, little threads that are still kind of there. And I'm like, I could have sewed that up a little bit better. And that's exciting for me because I have more chances and this band's going to have a long, fruitful career and I'm stoked to do it again. But that's my lesson. So there's a line in the sand type of situation with this where I will never, on the day of, wear multiple hats if I have to be a performer. I refrain from using this phrase. I think it's kind of boring. And I feel like it's not really ever accurate. But I will say this is the best glazed donut I've ever had. I hate saying the best. I'll say my favorite. One of my favorite. This is the best one. It's got this amazing vanilla type beat in it. And it's super big and fluffy. God, I'm in my donut arc.